one of my interests has always been the paranormal, and because of that, I was intrigued to go to a site located in the Chicagoland area called Bachelor Grove Cemetery. Now, for those of you who don't know, Bachelor Grove is widely regarded as one of the most haunted cemeteries in the Chicagoland area. Some say it's the most haunted cemetery in Illinois. Others even say it's the most haunted cemetery in the entire United States. Nonetheless, I was very interested and intrigued to find out some information about Bachelor Grove. I went on some websites. One of them was bachelorgrove.com. Came across some interesting stuff there. One was an old interview from 1977 done by a local area ghost hunter by the name of Richard Crow. He was on the Eddie Schwartz show, and he talked all about it, talked all about the different kinds of phenomenon there, and just really, piqued my interest at this point. I wanted to find out more about it. I wanted to find out if there was something to it. I then, got my camera together. I got my tape recorder together and thought that, I'd drive down there and see if there was something to it. Before I went, though, I did some more research on the history of it and found that the site was originally settled as early as the 1830s by people from the East Coast. They were, of English, Scottish, and Irish descent. They settled in this area, and because they were said to be bachelors, the cemetery got its name Bachelor Grove. Later, some people say that it got its name Bachelor Grove because there's a family buried there by the name Bachelor. So it's kind of intriguing. In fact, even Ripley's Believe It or Not did a piece about it in the 1930s, talking about how the place is called Bachelor Grove and yet there's women buried there. So pretty interesting as well. And I, at this point was very intrigued, gathered what equipment I have together, drove down there to see if there was something to it. And it's located, for those of you who don't know, it's located in the Rubio Forest Preserves of Midlothian, not the Bachelor Grove Forest Preserve. I know some people do make that mistake. Nonetheless, I walked down the path and, just out of nowhere in the woods, the cemetery appears. I walked around it and I wasn't spooked at all. I thought I would be spooked, and I thought I would do what, some people have done, where they would see something incredibly eerie and make a mad dash to their car. I didn't. I found, a feeling of, peace and tranquility. I didn't really feel that it was a very scary place at all, at least not when I went. There were a lot of people coming and going. There was even a paranormal group by the name of Past that had recently formed in the Chicago area, so thought that was intriguing as well. They had what appeared to be a lot of ghost equipment with them. I also then walked in the woods. There's a woods adjacent to the cemetery, and I walked around that for a little bit, came across what appeared to be a couple stone structures, or the foundations of, what was once quite possibly a house. And that is very interesting because one of the ghost legends of this place is of this vanishing 1890s Victorian era farmhouse. People claim to see this thing appear. There appears to be like a light in the window of it, and then just out of nowhere, this farmhouse would vanish. So, it was kind of interesting that I did come across foundations of what appeared to be a house, or, possibly a couple houses. Then, walked around the woods a bit, and then came back down and walked right toward a quarry pond that is adjacent to the cemetery as well. Again, to add to the spookiness of the place, there's a legend that states that the Chicago outfit under Al Capone was, dumping bodies in this quarry pond back in the 1920s. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. Is, like I said, is this to just add to the creepiness of the place? I don't know. Um, but it is kind of intriguing. Bachelor Grove also does have some, urban legends associated with it. It's said to be the origin of that one urban legend of the guy and the girl in the car, and then someone approaches the car, scratching the door. They get startled, they drive off, and then later on they look and they see a hook hanging onto the, car door. So it's said to actually be the origin of that urban legend. Whether or not it is, I don't know, but adds to kind of the mystery and intrigue of the place, I thought. I did take some pictures. One thing I should probably show: the cemetery is famous for different types of phenomenon. One is these blue orbs that appear to be floating around with an intelligence of their own. Didn't come across anything like that. It's also famous for the White Lady. It has its own version of the White Lady ghost. And here's a picture right here. One of the most famous ghost pictures ever taken. This was taken in 1991 for the Chicago Sun-Times. And maybe you've seen it. It's probably, like I said, one of the most famous ghost pictures ever taken, at least in the top 10, I think. And shot some pictures of this same stone, as you see right here. Didn't come across anything out of the ordinary. It doesn't, falsify the site by any means. I mean, I am a firm believer in the fact that just because you don't see something doesn't mean that it doesn't necessarily exist. I just on that day didn't see anything. However, I did bring a voice recorder with me, and when I played it back later, I heard what sounded like industrial machining type noises, and almost like that of a welding press or a punch press. So that was pretty intriguing. I have heard people, heard reports of people claim that there is such a thing going on. They'll hear, certain types of industrial type sounds and whatnot. And clearly I heard what sounded just like that, so who knows. Anyways, it was a very intriguing sight. I, thought it would be a situation where I'd be so spooked and, like I said, make a mad dash to my car. That didn't happen. I really did have a feeling of peace and tranquility at the site, and very interesting place, and I do intend on going back there again.